Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel where I share weekly tips and tools and things that might help you on your healing journey. So I share it with you when I'm called to share it, when I'm pulled towards some kind of knowing to share it out into the world. And that's what we're supposed to do with any of our things that come through us, is to share it out. So I think I did that video last time about sharing out into the world. If you're new to my channel, please say hello and hit subscribe. If this resonates with you, please copy the link and share it out into your community. This week, I want to talk about possibilities. Our possibilities when we're on a healing journey and when we decide to take a nice hard look at ourselves. So I know that a lot of times we hear a lot of metaphors, we hear a lot of things that make sense to us intellectually, and if you followed me for any length of time, you know that I'm all about dropping out of the intellect and into the body and into the heart, into your essence, your soul, your spirit, your inner guidance system that's calling you in a different direction. So one of the cliches or things we hear a lot, quotes, is that nothing changes unless you do something different. So if you get up every day and do the same things, nothing's going to change. So we know that. But how does that relate to our everyday life, especially when we're on a healing journey? So for me, there came a time, and I think this happens for everybody, it just happened to crash down on me. I think over time, we start to realize that all the things we're doing, all the effort, all the things that we effort to keep away from us, to not touch us emotionally, all our scars, all our traumas, all our past, we put so much effort into keeping them away. We put so much effort into looking into the external world, into the doing, into the goals, into obtaining, into consuming. We do so much of that to effort our way away from ourselves. So just thinking about that, it's pretty sad. And of course, I've done that. I've done that a lot of times in my life because we're not taught how to walk towards ourselves. We're not taught to go inward and understand how we work. How do we operate? And sometimes that feels scary if we go inward because we don't know what we're going to meet. But the scarier part is to never touch yourself, to never understand yourself, and to stay in the external world with that distance between your beautiful soul and consuming in this physical world, right? So a lot of times I read a quote recently that said that they don't want to be awakened. Like being awakened to the spiritual realm is not what we should be going towards, because we live in this physical world, and in this physical world, in our earthly realm, we have to kind of manage all kinds of things on our day to day. And my response to that was, it's not this or that. It's not you either are awakened or you're living in this earthly physical world. It's both. We can be both. We can have walking in our day to day with being in touch with our essence and our soul of who we are, allowing our inner guidance system to be a part of that, so that when we are met with things that we have to navigate, whether it's internally or externally, when we are met with that, we can do it from a place of knowing instead of from a place of anxiety and panic and, oh my gosh, I got to figure out this thing again. And to me, it's both. It's both of those things. But when we're detached from our essence, when we're detached from our inner knowing and the bigger part of us, our consciousness, I'm saying all kinds of words because to me it's the same thing. So I'm hoping that one of those lands with you. But when we're detached from that, it's really sad because we're kind of living numb. We don't feel great joy. We don't feel great anything because we're just kind of covering over who we truly are on a spiritual level, in our essence. We're covering it over, which is really sad. So a little story, because I like to give stories. I remember after Ritea died, she was 17, and she had struggled for 17 months after she was raped, after a photo appeared, after we tried to get her justice and help, and all the ways the system had failed her. I don't talk a lot about that, but all the trauma that went on within those 17 months. And then after she died, how I just felt like that was it. Like, completely broken. Whatever fragments I was holding together to show up in the world was completely broken. And in that space, in those moments when I was collapsing on the floor in my kitchen, wondering how am I going to do this? I just can't go on without her. I can't imagine a life without her. That was a turning point for me. That was the turning point because a deeper knowing busted into my awareness, a deeper voice, a deeper calling, whatever you want to call that, came in and told me that I absolutely had to get back on a spiritual path in order for anything to be able to put myself together in any type of way. So I didn't know what that meant, of course, but I became open to the possibility instead of fighting for my limitations, which I still was in deep, deep pain all the time, every day. I started listening from a deeper place, from a deeper knowing. I started listening for possibility and stopped fighting for my limitations. And in doing so, because I knew the ways that I used to deal with stress and trauma, it just wasn't working anymore. Thankfully, all those coping skills that I developed over the years that I felt were pretty strong collapsed. So they just didn't work for me anymore. So after realizing that, I didn't know what to do. But that's where the possibility can lie. We can't get up and do the same things all the time and view the world in the same way that we are the victim of our circumstance over and over and over again. There's a place for that. But because I started opening up to the possibilities of what could be, little by little, I followed that thread. And I didn't do it from being in my head all day, which I was in my head all day. I was looking for the moments that would break open those spots so I can tap into my heart. So instead of closing my heart up even more than it was in that fight or flight or that waiting for the next big disappointment, the next big news, like my whole body was in a state of absolute shock. Fired up, anxiety, couldn't sleep, pain. So instead of fighting and staying in that, my heart broke wide open. And it was from that place that we start to move and we start to shift and we start to do something a little different. It is scary. But what's the alternative? It's really scary to heal in deep layers. But I decided at some point we have to make a decision. I decided that I'm going to look for possibilities instead of being in this space that was so destructive to my entire being. I couldn't stay there any longer. So when we get so sick and tired of ourselves, and we know that the things we used to do are no longer working for us, or it seems like so much more effort than it used to be, that's when you know that your soul is calling you into a new realm. It's calling you into a new level. So it's uncomfortable at first because we're not used to it. So as more that you kind of look for that and calibrate to that, you start to shift into there. Then you arrive there and it starts again, right? So there's always some uncomfortableness to growth. It doesn't mean you have to go through a traumatic tragedy like I did, but there is uncomfortableness there. But being numb and pushing all of our emotions away and not knowing who you are on a soul level and what you're here to do and be in the world is the saddest tragedy of all. So at some point, as I kind of went in that direction, there's no way I could have planned for the ways that I healed, or meeting with Prime Minister and meeting at round tables and changing laws in Canada and reviewing policies, and all of these things happened because I stepped out of my comfortable zone, because I became her voice and I started speaking out about sexualized violence, about cyber abuse, about mental health, about Rehtaeh and who she was as a person. There's no way I could let her voice be silenced. And I had to step out of myself and let it be about something bigger than that. And that's when we can do, is when we step out of ourselves and we step into something bigger than ourselves, about something bigger than who we are, then we can do it. And it might be scary, it's fearful at first, but when we do it and we step into something, it doesn't matter what it is, and we do it anyways, that's when you recalibrate, and your soul is the one that's guiding you there. So when we listen to that and we go forward, then you say, oh my gosh, I did it. I did the thing that I was telling myself in my head that I could never do. Speaking in front of people, speaking in front of thousands of people, was not something I ever wanted to do or ever dreamed I would do. But my soul had a different idea. My soul brought me there, but I had to be open to possibility in order to get there. Otherwise, I wouldn't see it. I'd shut it down. So the most important thing you can do in your healing journey, besides to be open to possibilities, is to get really, really, really curious about how you operate in the world. And you do so by turning toward yourself. You do so by asking questions and then meeting yourself. Instead of bashing yourself and beating yourself out, trash talking, you meet yourself with curiosity, with kindness and compassion. And that's how you're able to move forward. So, in winding up this short little clip, I hope that this spoke to you somehow. I start my Soul Speak membership program. It starts twice a year, so the next one's in January, the third week. I forget the date, but it's the third Sunday, I believe, in January. I only run that program twice a year. If you want someone to mentor you along this journey in 6 months, maybe you took it before, but you might find something different this time. We hear different things, so I do have people that have taken it multiple times. I was going to run a new program, but I just love this program so much, because it's all the things that I did that I can teach you to move and shift and heal your pain so that you can embrace the life you're meant to live. So you can listen to a deeper knowing, a deeper essence to help you move through your life. So you're not stuck in these patterns, you're not stuck in these pains, because trauma and our experience, it's not a life sentence. It really isn't. It's not a life sentence. You can reclaim your life, and you can not let go of your past, but you can have a new perspective on your past. And it's not letting go of anything or ruminating over the past. It's embracing that life is full of changes, that we don't know what's going to be presented to us, but we are able to shift towards acceptance of our life and where it is taking us. In the unknown, because we never know. We really never know anything. But we think we do because it makes us feel better. So I hope you're having a great day. And if you're not having a great day, remember that those feelings, those emotions, whatever you're feeling, those are here to guide you. Those are there to help you grow. So embrace them. And I'll see you next week. Have a great week. Bye.